Let me bring out Leah V. Are you back there? Leah V, where is she? Do you want to say anything? This is Leah's last Triad show in 2019. She was scared for a second. What do you mean last Triad show? But anything about the experience? This is your fourth. It's our fourth time here this year.
Well, not only is this my fourth time here, but before I say anything else, I would like everybody here to give a warm round of applause to my mentor and our founder, Inspire Word founder. We're 10 years strong this year. Let's give it up for Michael Geffner, everybody. So Mike, I discovered the Inspired Word through a Google search when I was just starting out. And I discovered the Inspired Word, and I went the first time, and I was on stage with my paper in hand. I think I had like 2 people with me. I think Julie was with me. Julie's here. And hey, girlfriend. Shout out to my best friend. And I was shaking, and I was holding the paper, and I was so scared. But I saw the features that night, and I saw the community, and I said to Julie, I said, I want that. I want to be a feature. So I kept coming back. And you have to pay to play when you're starting out. That's what you have to do, and that's what I did. And I would go after long days of work, and I would hustle my ass to the city, to the corner of Houston and Attorney Street, and I would get back there, and I would do it. And somewhere along the way, Mike recognized my persistence, and he offered me a feature. And then I featured, and I took his advice after that. Everything he gave me, I took, and he was right about everything all the time. And I'm not just saying that because he's on stage with me. It's a real thing. Changing my social media information, changing the way I perform, creating new content more frequently, all of these things that he taught me. And I just kept doing it. And then I came to the Triad when we started doing shows at the Triad, and I saw Kate.
Can I take over this?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So it was amazing. This is Kate Gerlich right here, My Life in Yellow. And she's performed here many times for us. So during one of the shows, Leah came back and she sidled right beside me, and she says, "How do I get on that stage? I want to get on that stage."
I want that stage.
And I told her what she needs to do, and she did it. And now this is going to be her 4th time. So please give it up for the resident poet of the Inspired Word, Leah V.
Thank you. Thank you. So I know this is a lot of music in this show, which is absolutely wonderful. I have a poem dedicated to music, dedicated to hip hop that I wanted to begin. But before I begin, there's a couple things that I need from you guys. Okay. So when a poet goes on stage for any type of open mic or event, and they say, "Oh, something, 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 this is a new poem," the audience shouts out. Exactly. So I'm going to say, "Oh, this is a new poem," and you're going to say, "New shit." There we go. Y'all are right up in there. So for this poem, at the beginning and at the end, I'm going to say hip-hop started out in the heart. And you're going to say not everybody is trying to chart. So I'm going to say hip-hop started out in the heart. Not everybody is trying to chart. We got to speed up that rhythm, though, okay? Hip-hop started out in the heart. Not everybody's just trying to chart. Hip-hop started out in the heart. Not everybody's just trying. We got to speed that up, y'all. Hip-hop started out in the heart. Not everybody's just trying to chart. Hip-hop started out in the heart. Not everybody's just trying to chart. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to give it a beat between the first line and the second. So just listen to me. Just listen to me this time, and then do it after. Hip-hop started out in the heart. Not everybody's just trying to chart. I said, hip-hop started out in the heart. Not everybody's just trying to chart. I said, okay. And then at the end, we're going to get into that again. And then when I start doing this, you guys are going to lower it for me, all right? How's that sound? Okay, this is called track 6. This poem is called track 6 because I'm a big fan of Nas. And on the 6th track of all of his albums, he has a song about nostalgia, about growing up. And so this is, in a way, an ode to that. Hip hop started out in the heart. Not everybody's just trying to chart. I said, hip hop started out in the heart. Not everybody's just trying to chart. I said, I remember cut telephone cables during Double Dutch, cocoa ices on the corner, and Christmas on the Parkway. My brother is awakening from sweet slumber to join me in journeys through park stalls and fire hydrant waterfalls. Awakening, immediately selling me on serenity in the form of sonic freedom. We wore music then, played in those days. Sold Barbies on my stoop when my girl group wasn't hip bopping while the box boomed. And I hate to admit it, but it was that early 2000 that bred me. LL's tone as he honed that all his pride was all he had. Relished in Ashanti rhythms, Murder Inc. my initiation, but as CDs spun, so did my craving for mass wordplay, and somewhere along the way, I discovered Nas. This my track 6. Illmatic was unlike anything that's ever sunk into my skin. Saxophone seeping through lyrics, lacking breath. Could it be a combination of eloquence and rebellion? Beauty in the beast of NYC streets pumping through eardrums. Hitting awkward advances of puberty, I realized then I needed more 90s. Back then, Z100 was still pumping throwback attacks, likely because those tunes lacked the expletives that us rap fans lick like licorice these days. Truth is, I love me some vulgarity. It's charity, really, the power and profanity that our genre possesses. It was a niece that wrote, cussing doesn't come from a lack of vocabulary. I know all of the other words, but none of them speak the same language that my fucking heart does. So it was cool like that, popping up on the morning show with Elvis Duran. Diggable Planets sank into my Saturn. I swear rappers be like seamstresses, stressing sounds to make strange words sound silky. Minor English lesson for you fine folk. I'm a alliteration illustrator, a contester of consonants. I make music of moving mouths, making story making. Alliteration defines what I did there, but assonance is another matter. Rounding sounds in long lounges and houses of mouth is. And I learned both verbal tricks by Outkast, shortly arriving at the 90s. Sure enough, the South had something to say. Source Awards 96 made history of hip-hop. Big and Pac, double homicide drop debatedly began at that spot, unsurprisingly so. Battle has always paved the way for flow over beat, fighting and hip-hop and gangs and streets. It sounds cliche, but all truths do, I imagine. After all, rap is passion, stemming from struggle, and struggle stands hand in hand with nurtured hate. I can get into the lessons I've learned while not in school, researching truths on how strategically drugs found our youth, fought our advances, loosened our chances. I could tell you all about how the playing field is not level, how statistically speaking they manufactured our rebels, created false hatred, discomfort, displacement, and aced it. Put our people in the ring always against one another, because who else are you gonna hit when you spend all your time with your brother? But back to the baseline we go. I grew up on Wheezy 2, Yeezy 2, back when he was only a minimal fool. All falls down, still bumps when you're having a moment. That rhyme scheme, spitting insecurity, some of his finest moanings. A pairing of old school and new school, pair pun not intended. He inspired all to pen it. Discovered a fondness of love rhymes, of rap, Mary J, Method Man, such a classic act. You're all I need to survive. She sang it. Most Def Kweli called her a brown-skinned lady. 21 Questions, one of my favorite love letters. But nothing compares to the light. Common, Casanova, trendsetter supreme, empowering queens through romantic street scenes. But all that boo loving doesn't mean I don't still have love for classic street themes. Cause Wu-Tang still ain't nothing to fuck with. And when that Shook One's beat drops, there's no way you can stop. Ether, an annihilation. Lawyers study that art of violent articulation. Prove yourself, lose yourself in the sport of shuffling shackles via poverty. Hip-hop grew from the gutter. And I knew no other than that rose from concrete. I don't want to hear about then versus now from millennial specimen who can't even support their own. I've got underground homies who bring tears to my eyes on stages a fraction of this size. Why would I spend a couple old bennies on some high-definition light play and the anti's image of a man when I have the glory of live art right in front of me amid this pretty, pitiful city? Shout out inspired word. I lather in lyrics. I lost one when I heard Jay's Lost One, and I rejoiced when I heard Lost Ones by Lauren, such as wordplay, foreplay, we all play. Subway station Showtime shows the method of melting pots of hip-hop. We're all amid that concrete jungle plotline. We're all trying to make our way on time while that fitted cap fits over that hat while that boy shines. And when I was at Little Dancer's age, my brother Rigo explained Big being ready to die when he wrote Ready to Die. My brother Ariel visited from out of town and threw that top down and told me all of DJ nightclub doings. And man, I couldn't wait to get to that age where the combination of liquor and loose notes flowed freely throughout me, far away from the seemingly skyscraping fencing ends that my father protectively forced upon me. But it wasn't those fences that saved me. And I'm glad that rap made way for me to show me the lessons that poetry would pave me, the lessons that hip-hop gave to me, like rap is no place for women. It's a Stockholm Syndrome admiration that flows throughout the entire rhythm nation. It was Ava who wrote, "To be a woman in love with hip-hop is to be in love with your abuser." Because hip-hop was and is that, and yet the culture is ours. You heard me, the culture is ours. So I spent hours speculating my being outnumbered, questioning whether Nicki exploits or empowers, whether sexualization is defense or offense. Can I be both feminist and queen of the fandom? If I blackballed every hip-hopper who ever laid hands on a she, then my headphones might remain muted. I question this every day, yet still, I can't pull away. I can't pull away. It's like every time I try to leave, something keeps pulling me back. Look. We all navigate this world addicted. One way or another, we're conflicted by the complexity of sound and how it sways us, sickens us, soothes us, seduces and abuses us. But I'm telling you, that hip hop on that front stoop in the Bronx, it granted me sonic freedom in the form of culture, courtesy of Kool Herc on Sedgwick Ave. Him and countless others who cultivated and cooked open and cracked open and caressed this rebellion conglomerate that is hip-hop. Started out in the heart. Not everybody's just trying to chart. I said hip-hop started out in the heart. Not everybody's just trying to chart. I said hip-hop, you got a piece of my heart. Not everybody's just trying to chart. I said hip-hop, you got a piece of my heart. 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 Hip-hop, I dedicate this art. Hip-hop, I dedicate this art. Hip-hop, this my track 6. Thank you. Thank you. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? thank you for joining us on this Saturday night. I am closing out my residency. Unfortunately, if it was up to me, I'd be resident poet forever. However, you know, Mike did one-up me with the assistant producer. So I encourage everyone, before I continue with my next couple pieces, I encourage everybody to follow Inspired Word on social media at Inspired Word NYC. Come to our shows, support live art, support the underground community. We got. I'm going to keep on going, all right? If that's all right with you. That's all right with y'all? I'm going to do a piece called Medicate. Does anybody in here smoke marijuana? Is anybody in here a legalization enthusiast? I say that because you don't need to smoke marijuana to agree with that. Anyway, keep on with the keep on. This piece is called Medicate. Sylvia said she's exploring her subconscious self-repression. My repression involves the suppression of smoke, simple squanderings around embers, emitted, dismembered Dutches, disheveled and pebbled with memories of Septembers come past. I allow my inhaled escape to emulate exposed egos, attempt to cover and cower behind clouds of calling vapors. You, my neighbors, will you escape beside me? Will you ignore the ignorance even after it pierces your privacy, even after it pierces your private party and the pieces of you place precariously in your pockets? And will you addict yourselves, as I have, in hopes that we can hover above these men who hate you, who threaten to hallucinate you with their hands, ready to sedate you, snatch you, and taste you? Oh, it's an irrational fear, but the statistics say otherwise. But Mary unifies, and as the sun rises and I raise myself off comfortable covers, my very first thought is always, how soon can I ignite? How soon before I can insert my fake sense of security into my service fee-taking mouth? How many mammoth-moving minutes until my green peace can move my mental capacity into other dimensions? Is it deception? It is. I know, and yet still I fold tobacco cloves as I pose beside smoke, and I choke, and I toke, and I break my composure, engage in overexposure, wherein these blood-colored eyes reading, this is a full disclosure. But Mary balances boulders. She breaks these brain boundaries, and she massages your shoulders as earth shakes and shatters with shit-talking government soldiers who pose next to murderers in suits, diluting the truth, trading our tragedies for power-repelling polling booths, completely obtuse, corrupt, and obtrusive, policing our youth while already grasping that noose. And because of these unfortunate truths, I make the choice to choose. If we cannot be physically free as we ache against this concrete, then allow me a calm heartbeat, a piece of the sweetest leaf, a temporary release, my fleeting inner peace. Allow me to elevate so that I can de-escalate, so that as I deflate, brutal reality might briefly escape. Thank you. Thank you. I got two more for you. This next piece is called The Siren. I never learned how to lyric a love poem because the love poems that I studied were all unrequited. Classics where the language was elevated. Before print, when the language was devastated, 1800s when writers' lives depended on it, circumstance rescinded poets, distance suspended lovers. There was no textual communicado toward, nothing but visual connect and desperate notice, hopes that the object of your desire might write it forward. With handwritten ink, to us it's foreign. with a connection so deep that we copy classics and imitation so weak that we call for graphics. We make these meaningless memes, then pretend scholastic, societal greed to pretend we matter, materialism to pretend we're flattered, and false tellings to pretend we're gathered. Shit, I bet our predecessors bathed in laughter, chuckling at our forever after pitter-patter. But we wasn't taught. I had to fall through fear before bearing an awe, before believing a call or a need to enthrall. I never learned how to lyric a love poem, but here's my writing on the wall, here's my attempt. And let the ghosts of Wuthering Heights reflect upon my repent. Love? Love wasn't your freckles falling upon my face or feelings of gratitude forced upon his grace. Love wasn't Yeats telling us of life and death, but it was me feeling your air when I held my chest. It was you staying silent when my voice turned bass because I was obsessed with the news and resented your whole race. It was you against me with your skin as my lace, with your lick as my savior, with my mouth as my traitor when I told you that this pen is my best fucking failure, yet you recited my lines as though your tongue had them tailored. And love was asking no favors and telling no faults, yet accepting those anyway and embracing that loss. And love was when we were both lost, when we were all in at all costs, and goddamn did it cost those late night train rides on the edge of exhaust, on the edge of soft skin, under physical drain, that emotional need tied to that physical strain. And love was when you inherited my pain, when I said he took my body and you said, but not your name, not your saying or your left lane or your words or your message that you swear act as chains. He never took your reign, your inner control, or your ability to obtain. We agreed he took my passage, affected who I became, but you had come here to claim. From this blessed corner you came, aware of your advantage and the weight of the world's blame. You refused to refrain, took my brown, my loud, my destruct, my aim, leveled me out and declared a fair game, made you better, made me better, made us together. We became our own open chain, a distinct entity, our own open brain. And God, how I appreciated you and all that you do and all that you had done. You were my Sunday evening rest, and you were my Monday morning sun. So, here, upon thee, I let my reflections run free. No 14-line sonnet, no iambic ABC, no Annabelle Lee, no foreshadowing, no difficult prose, no loathe in 16ths, just little comminglings from me to my sea. But as an ode to thee, to those who have paved the way for millennial poets such as me, here's a quick finale 3. After all, the greats know far more than we. Louis Bogan wrote, who could discern when love is over? What the wise doubt, the fool believes. So who is it then that love deceives? And I thank y'all for patiently awaiting my peace. Peace. Thank you. All right. I've got one more. I've got one more for you. I actually have to announce. I never announce this, but I'm going to because flex. I won the Missouri Audio Review Prize for this poem. Thank you. Thank you. It's very... Thanks, Andres. That's my brother. You heard about him in that first poem. I haven't gotten rid of him since. But this poem is very special to me. It's my current favorite. I debuted it at my first Triad in March, and I was going through all types. I mean, we're all always going through all types, but that night specifically, I was going through. It was a pivotal night for me. I debuted that poem, and I made a promise to myself and my family and everybody near and dear to me that I would change the way I was living a little bit, that I would learn to master the art of healing, and that I would make my family proud. And I like to think I've done that since then. So this poem is dedicated to my family, the Gonzalez family. This piece is, and it's also dedicated to all families, everybody who's ever been a part of this process, and you'll get it once I get into it. This piece is called Doncellas. All of the maids in Manhattan, Siamese twinned together and robotically moving in unison, doncellas like rockets kicking dust and dead socks up. All of those merry maids on the move, ducking and weaving through recently renovated linoleums. All those thick tongues so they stay silent unless they're back on the block ladies, the ones in plain sight who hide from ridiculous rights. All them, fuck a Mr. Cleaner, this be Miss Conspicuous, spotless goddess, those warriors never stamped who hardly stand a chance, the women sealed in sacrifice in order to well-round our existence. I swear only they compare. You put my mother, my sister, and me in an untouched library laced with lice, traces of mice, soiled ties, stained dye, oversized rust, hidden in undersized pus, the whole room sus. Just watch as we navigate that war. Watch the divinity of Fabulosa all over crooks and crevices, miraculous miracles as unmesses. Watch the Gleam team reign supreme on the pledge floor scheme. Watch as Tito Puente moves mommy into magician mode as she decodes furniture, creates centerpieces of broken wreaths, grandiose displays of paper clips and papers dipped in scraps of used notebooks. And watch as she arranges too many instruments she knows will pivot in palms as she salsas all over my father, all over Willie Colon. She never misses a beat. Suddenly, the most convoluted space makes neat. She sees things crowd and creates crowns, puts it down with the cluster. Now watch while we shift to my sister as she musters all things suddenly luster as she thrusts dust into bluster. She's got pollo marinating. She's spitting Biggie while cooking, washing clothes while hooking pots to their places, making space in all napes. And Amy serenades me as I move mountains to mop tops. We're all prancing, creating backdrops, recalling articles, debating chronicles of when we had less. When it was buses and frozen meals, because mommy worked overtime, because Aita made 2 more humankinds. We've been trained as caregivers, soldiers of servitude. I swear my mother will suggest the shirt off her back after forcing upon you a baked goods attack. I've seen my sister take out the last of what she had, place it on a plate, and yelled, "Eat it," in my face. And this keeping of house, it makes me reflect, it makes me depict my ancestors, calloused, corroded, cutting sweet sticks, singing sweetness on the island all the same. Now, when they were colonized by Spain, followed by good old American Joe, when the sand between their toes felt less free than it had before, when they struggled with the sounds of uncertain, closed-curtain, illogical Ingles, when they began to change the way they dressed, when they didn't realize as citizens they remained oppressed, when they were sexualized and used, labeled stupid yet pursued, when San Juan became the Bronx, when the back door became the front, did they ever imagine, did they ever think it could be our floors we scrubbed, our very own tiles rubbing past the falsified foreign identity of Mrs. Liberty wearing Uggs past that D train toward us? We hold magic. Anything you can do, we can do bleeding. Anything you can do, we can do beating eggs for entire elaborate guest lists of our own meetings. The men make space for us in our era. And nuestra familia, the patriarchy, moves aside that wage gap and cares for us even when we can't move aside our pride to ask. My father worships the woman he wed. They act as a unit so fluid that I've learned to not tell one without expecting the other to address the cover with me directly. The roles we hold reek of respect. We never neglect the needs of one another because we know we're stronger together than alone. And fighting white America as a whole been the goal. Since 18, we took it to the polls, and we took it to the other polls. The ones that hold palms as you walk upstairs. Mira, Leah, don't forget that spot over there. My mother reminds me. We've been cleaning. It's in our blood to scrub. They call me a spick, and I scrub that. Compared me to Sofia Vergara, and I scrub that. My tongue contains multitudes. My linguistic skill is overused. I does that. Gonzalez woman hit you with the English, Spanish, Spanglish, Ebonics, Latin root, all while hovering over hot food. We bounce back. We cater, we carry, we clean, we never concede, and we attack eloquently. So it's best you bless yourself by letting us out of that box before we break out. We got numbers. Largest growing population in New York City. So build your walls, and our Lysol disinfectant wipes will ruin by rubbing you off, and then we'll walk past collegiate aisles, all smiles and educated and dedicated to our people. But what do I know? I'm just a New Eurekan chick on all fours on the floor answering my Saint Mother's call, not being able to recall the last time I got that corner of the hallway. We hold magic. We stem from soil. My mother, the sun, and my sister, the water. So watch me make corruption weep. Watch as I seep into society. Watch as I blossom into my ancestors' wildest dreams. Que bonita bandera. We sing as we clean, clean, clean. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. You can follow me everywhere at Leah V Speaks. That's LEAHV Speaks. Once again, I encourage you all to continue to follow the Inspired Word, support live arts. We all we got. Thank you very much.
Now you see why she was the resident poet for 2 years. You had to see her the first time she showed up at the show and what she is now. I mean, you just saw a very special talent. Please give it up one more time for Leah V.